Hello everyone, I am Katya with Lunar Sun Creations. Thank you for joining me today in some creating magic. We are going to be making today some faux leather out of paper bags, and I'm going to use it to wrap around the chipboard pieces of a mini album. The pictures on screen are showing you what the faux leather will look like. Very simple to do. We only need a few supplies, so a paper bag, or just some kind, or if you don't have a paper bag, then craft cardstock will also work. I wanted something that I'm cutting my paper bag I'm cutting it open and cutting it into a big long sheet so I can use the entire thing all as one piece to wrap around my covers. You will need some kind of like sponge or something to daub the Mod Podge on. So Mod Podge is what I'll be using, and I will be using it in conjunction with either a re-inker. It doesn't have to be Distress ink, but some kind of super saturated color re-inker. And I'm also going to try doing it with the same technique but using a powder, like a pigment powder, instead of the re-inker. So I'm going to try it both with the brushos and with the infusions. It has to be a really highly concentrated pigment powder. So I'm going to use that. I'm going to try it with each one and see which one works better. And then we also need a spray bottle with water and some glycerin. This can be found at the pharmacy really easily. As you can tell, mine is quite well used, this bottle. So, alright, so those are all the supplies you're going to need. Let's get started. To begin, I am going to take my spray bottle and add a little bit of glycerin inside. The inside with the water. So you want about 1 part glycerin to like 4 parts water. Oops, that's not the way it goes. So you don't need very much glycerin. So what it is going to do is it's going to, we're going to spray the entire paper with the water glycerin mix. And kind of like rub it in. If you don't have glycerin, another thing that can work is you can get the for your hair, it's like a silken kind of serum almost to like help with frizzy hair. So that could also work. So what it does is it kind of like bonds to the fibers of the paper, and it kind of makes it like more malleable, so it's less paper-like and more, almost makes it more cloth-esque. So it kind of changes the textures and the fibers of the paper. So I'm going to do that on both sides. Okay, so don't rub it so much that you're actually like pilling the paper, but just kind of get it all in there so that all the parts of the paper have been coated. I've got some spots around the edge that haven't got any, so I'm just gonna make sure that all spots are covered. Okay, so we're gonna set this aside to dry for a little bit. We don't want it to dry all the way. We still have another step to do while it's still damp, but we don't want it soaking wet. So we're gonna mix our colors and then we're gonna bring this back. Okay, so I've got my Mod Podge. I've got another empty bottle of Mod Podge that I had a little bit of re-inker and Mod Podge in before. So I'm basically going to take half of this bottle and put it into this bottle, or almost half. Now I'm going to take about 3 droppers full of the re-anchor. Oh, that didn't get very much. You can always add more if you need to. And then we're going to mix that up, and then I'm going to also mix the rest of the other Mod Podge bottle with some of the infusions. Just kind of show you what that looks like right now. It's going to dry quite a bit darker than what it looks like now. I've also mixed up a little bit of the brushos in the leaf green with some Mod Podge, and this is what it looks like. It's quite bright, so I'm probably going to tone it down with maybe some Distress ink. Can go over it afterwards with a little bit of Distress ink. I'll probably go over it with like a deep green color. And now I'm just going to mix up the last of the Mod Podge that's in here. I'm going to mix it with a blue pigment powder. I'm just going to tap out a little bit. I don't know exactly how much I'm going to need. It's pretty highly pigmented, so I think that's probably enough. That was maybe a quarter of a teaspoon. Let's shake it up and see what we got. Okay, I think I'm actually going to go a little bit, just a little bit deeper than that. And then with the green one, I think I might actually add a little bit of black brushos into the green one to tone down the brightness a little bit. Or maybe some brown or some black brushos. Okay, that's a little bit better. Let's go with that. So we've got the brown, we've got the blue. Okay, so I'm just going to add a tiny bit of the black into this green. Okay, that's a little better. Perfect. Okay, so we've got our colors mixed. Let's get this out of the way. Okay, now we're going to bring this back and we are going to crumple it up. And then we're going to open it and crumple it up again. And we're just going to do that a few times, just like crumpling it up. The more wrinkles you have in it, the better it will work. So kind of crumple it up, starting at one end and starting at the other end, kind of just keep going until you have a lot of texture. Okay, and then once you have the amount of wrinkles and texture that you feel looks good, then let it dry the rest of the way, or use a blow dryer to finish drying it the rest of the way. Okay, so I'm gonna dry that and I'll be right back. Alright, once your piece is basically dry, then we're gonna take our mixture and just kind of drizzle it on, and then use the sponge thingy to just kind of like dab it like this. We don't want to drag it across because we want as much texture as possible, so we don't want to smooth out any of the wrinkles we've created. And also we've done a lot to this paper already, and because it's not watercolor paper, it's prone to, like, it's pretty, what am I trying to say here? It's fragile. It's fragile. So we don't want to like drag anything across it. Pouncing is the better technique so that it doesn't tear. And we're just going to keep doing this. It looks quite light right now, but it will dry a little bit darker. And I'm just going to keep going until my entire piece is all covered. I'm not going right to the very edge, mostly because it's going to be wrapping around my cover and you won't really see that part. And also just because I'm trying for once to be just a tiny bit neater than normal. We're going to wrinkle this up again once more once it's all dry, and then we're going to add some distress ink over top, just kind of like going over so it'll just hit the like high areas of the wrinkles and give a lot of extra, you know, kind of dimension, texture, and make it look a little bit more realistic. Really highlight the wrinkles. So just make sure that all the spots have Mod Podge pushed into them. The cool thing about using Mod Podge with this is that Mod Podge is also a sealant, so you're kind of like sealing your paper at the same time as coloring it. Okay, once you're happy with it, set it aside to dry. Okay, so this is the vintage photo one, all dry. And you can see it's quite like pliable now. It's not exactly like paper anymore. So I'm going to crumple this up one last time, open it up, and then apply just a little bit of walnut distress ink. I'm just gonna kind of lightly go over the top with it, just so it picks up a little bit of the top kind of what's the opposite of recesses? The top, the high points of the wrinkles, I guess you could say. And as it's dried, I've noticed that there's a few spots that I might, you know what, actually I'm going to add a little bit more. See how, so right here, it's like a beautiful texture, but then right here, see how there's like some spots that still kind of look like paper? I don't want that. I want, and then there's some spots here and here, but then other places look like this whole section looks quite like leather. So I want it all to look like leather. So I might add just a little bit more, do a second coat of this. I have a little bit of the brown left, so I'm going to do just a little bit more. But before I do that, I just want to show you the other two. So I did one with the blue and the navy infusions for this one and put it in with some Mod Podge. And it turned out quite cool. Like, it's a really gorgeous, the camera's not picking it up very well. It's a really beautiful deep blue. But on this one, I think I'm going to take a little bit of chipped sapphire distress ink and kind of go over it just a little bit in the same way. And when you do this, you might want to go over the whole thing again with a really light layer of just plain Mod Podge or a spray sealant, just to make sure that this is all sealed. Ooh, I'm getting blue on my brown one underneath it. Silly girl. Get that out of the way. Yeah, just so that if this gets wet for any reason, this chipped sapphire on top isn't going to leak all over the place. Alright, I think that looks really cool. I'm not sure, I don't know if it's picking it up in the light, but it's got a very, very awesome texture, and I think it actually does look like really old leather, especially once I wrap it around the cover of a book. I think I can make it really look quite vintage and old. Okay, and then I also did one in green. This one I'm going to go over very lightly with some black soot. I've also got, you know what, the black soot might be a little bit too much. Let me try this first. I've got some forest moss. Let me try that first and see. Yeah, I think all it needs is the forest moss. I think the black soot would have taken over too much. I might take some of that black soot off, actually. Okay, perfect. I'm gonna set that one aside. I think it looks very cool. You can even hear that it's a different consistency. Okay, so you just saw the green one. I wanted to show you one last time what the brown one looks like. After I've done the second layer of the Mod Podge and re-inker layer. So it looks quite cool. That glare is making it, it's not quite as glossy as it looks. That glare is really like making it look super, super glossy. But close up, it looks really, really cool. Okay, so that's the brown one. And then the blue one, I used a little bit of this Art Alchemy metallic wax in aged brass. So I just put a little bit of it on with my finger. And this is the book that I created and wrapped it around some chipboard. So I'll just bring it up so you can see what it looks like with the gold, or with the aged brass metallic. So it's hard to imagine that this was a paper bag a little while ago. This album is going to be in a video very shortly. I'm not going to show it to you right now. This is a sneak peek. This is a collaboration that I did with Victoria Designs. I'm using one of the Victoria Designs paper collections. It's called Dragon Treasure. And I'm going to have a full walkthrough of the album in the next couple days, as well as a full tutorial on this album, which will be on both my YouTube channel and the Victoria Designs YouTube channel, and that is also coming up very soon. Alright, so I hope you enjoyed making some faux leather with me. I hope you will try it out. It is such an easy technique, but it makes it look so cool. It's amazing that this was a grocery bag just a little while ago. I think the blue one turned out the best. I quite like it. Alright, awesome. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you learned something, and I hope you will come back and see me again soon. Lots of love. Big hugs. Bye.